Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming and Something Mountains. What are the gaming drag today? I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Temptation's Ballad. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm Channy, we're up and let's go! The noble scampered away like a spooked animal, but hovered close by as Sid shuffled his way through the dirty plates. Do you know how to use the wash basin? Use? Is it a simple basin, is it not? No, it's magic. The noble did not look impressed. Don't give me that look. We saved up a long time for this. Here. Sid tapped the little blue arcane crystal embedded into the left side of the basin. Oh, this one's enchanted with create, destroy water. Just tap it once and it'll fill up. Make sure to turn it off, though, or you'll flood the place like we did last summer. Calder's dismissive scowl reluctantly melted into a genuine curiosity as he watched Sid work. The badger slowly submerged all the dirty plates and tapped the arcane crystal on the right. And this one is prestidigitation, specifically a version for cleaning. Give it a few minutes and all the dirt and grime should melt off. The stubborn bits might need a good old scrubbing, though. I see. This is a surprisingly advanced contraption for such a primitive hole in the city. I mean, this kind of thing's pretty common these days. The fancier ones even have crystals to dry and levitate the dishes back into your cabinets. I guess you wouldn't be too familiar with this sort of thing since you probably have servants doing it all for you. The noble's lips thinned and his scowl returned. We do not have any servants. Sid blinked. Huh? Really? Do you do all the house cleaning and cooking yourself, then? Of course not. Do I look like peasants? All the manual labor in O'Shaughnessy Manor is automated with magic and casts of Unseen Servant. Doesn't Unseen Servant count as a servant? If we are dealing with technicalities, I suppose. Unseen Servants are not people. Do not speak nor listen. They simply obey. My grandfather and I are the only flesh and blood people who reside in O'Shaughnessy Manor. It sounds kind of lonely. For a split second, Calder almost looked at me like he agreed, but shook his head dismissively. Servants are a liability. Grandfather has sworn off hiring such deplorable individuals after one of them kidnapped my disgraced uncle and shot grandfather in the shoulder with an arrow. So I've heard. This was before my time. Sid was surprised as the hyena rolled up his sleeves and hesitantly began drying the freshly cleaned plates from the basin. He smiled and pitched in to help. Soon the kitchen's cabinets were slowly filling with sparkling clean dishware. While he worked, Calder looked as though he wanted to say something, but held his tongue. His eyes darted about like a scared animal, but his shoulders slowly relaxed as they bustled about the kitchen in silence. From outside, they should hear the morning rush of customers and food being paraded about, the loud clatter of conversation thumping through the inn's walls. After the basin was emptied of dirty dishes, Calder finally spoke. It is very different here. So many people, and so much noise. Good different? Calder did not answer, his gaze fixed firmly downward. Suddenly there was a loud noise from the dining area that reverberated through the thin kitchen door. A sharp clatter, followed by shouts. Someone must have dropped a plate or something. It was a rather mundane occurrence that Sid was used to. The noise was not what caught his attention. No, it was Calder. Oh. The moment the sharp crack echoed through the air, the young noble flinched and instinctively raised his arms as though to shield his face. There were bruises on the hyena's face and head, most of which are probably from Cole's loot-clobbering incident, but upon closer inspection there were other wounds, too. Older wounds. Sid felt his chest twinge painfully. He reached out for Calder and the hyena reflexively took a step back. The noble's expression twisted from startled fright to defensive scorn, the scowl returning to his face as naturally as one would catch themselves after a stumble. I think it's high time we drop this little charade, shall we? What is your game here, plebeian? I'm just trying to be nice, man. That is precisely the point. I humiliated you yesterday, socially grounded you into the dirt in front of all your friends. Why in the world would you wish to show kindness unless it was some great ploy? Sid scratched his head with a sigh. This guy kind of reminded him of Cole in a weird, frustrating way. He pulled out 2 chairs from a table, plopping himself down and patting the other open seat. Maybe you should sit. I will remain standing if I wish, thank you very much. Sid shrugged. All right, so how do I put this? Generally speaking, people are nice, or at least try to be. Calder sniffed haughtily. Doubtful. My brief time outside O'Shaughnessy Manor has been filled with naught but the most cutthroat individuals. Yeah, so rolling up to strangers and going on and on about your big and important family is not a great look. Kind of rude and all that. The noble scoffed. It is not my fault the local peasantry have no renown to speak of. See, there it is again. You're puffing yourself up, trying to look all impressive and get everyone's respect. But you're not going to get any respect if you refuse to show it. You kind of remind me of my bullies back in school. They were all pecking to see who's top chicken, but that's no way to make any real friends. Calder looked utterly offended. Do not compare my grace to that of a chicken. And who says I want to be friends with the likes of you? You got anyone else? Calder's mouth snapped shut, his face visibly counting through his options. Words failed him despite his desperation to save face. Sid smiled sympathetically. It was like that too. Got picked on a lot in the schoolyard. I guess pecking down the big guy who didn't fight back gave the chickens a lot of cred. Being all alone is never a good feeling. How did you deal with your chickens? Oh, I just cried a lot. Mom told me to deck them in the mouth and stop being a doormat. When that didn't work out, she polymorphed half them into houseplants and started a temporary new garden in the schoolyard. The bullying stopped after that. I feel like I'm being threatened. No, I'm just trying to make peace after we got off on the wrong foot yesterday. You're more diplomatic than expected, I'll give you that. But you still haven't answered my question. Yesterday I cast detect thoughts on you, violated your privacy. It was rude, as you say, Calder coughed. Why are you extending such patience to me, of all people? Of course I am nobility and am entitled to such treatment, but it is a pleasant surprise. Aren't you afraid I will do it again? Sid scratched his head thoughtfully. Yesterday you dragged my ugliest, most insecure thoughts out for all to see. They were petty thoughts, jealous, rude, undeserving. I thought terrible things about the people around me, even though they did nothing to warrant them. Things should have gone terribly. I was fully expecting everyone to just leave me, but... A soft smile spread across Sid's face. My friends saw me at my worst, and they still decided to stay. Calder blinked, surprised. I realized that I've been an idiot this whole time. I've been spending too much time in my own head, and I have good people in my life. And honestly, I'm doing pretty well. My friends are dealing with way bigger ordeals, and I want to be a shoulder they can lean on and give them a hand when they need it. That's the person I want to be. So when you ask me if I'm afraid you'll do it again, my answer is no. The only thing left to be afraid of is letting everyone down. Calder was silent for several long moments. A deep frown edged across his face. Finally, he spoke. So that's what I am, then. A pity project in your grand crusade. Sid sighed and reached across the table. All right, man, get out of your own head. Ow! A sharp stick of stale bread suddenly bonked Calder across the forehead. He yelped and stumbled backwards right into the chair that Sid pulled out for him earlier. The badger snickered and outstretched an open hand. This was the world's longest conversation to say, hey, I saw you were having a hard time. If you stop being a dick, I'd rather us be friends. Calder stared at his open palm with an indignant yet contemplative look. After a moment, he reached out and grasped it in a weak handshake. I am sharing a roof with a demonic bird witch, the world's most brutal chosen one, and an uncivilized naked bard. I suppose a friendly face amongst the rabble would not be unwelcome. The hyena coughed loudly and cleared his throat. Beneath all that bluster and posturing, Sid almost swore he heard a very soft thank you. Oh. There we go. Alright, there we go. Gonna check on him. Market District, Town Square Plaza. Magic was fun. Cole was a big fan of the stuff. Throughout most of his life, he had only been capable of subtle spells like illusions and parlor tricks. When Ilya offered to teach him how to teleport, he was over the moon. It had not quite hit him with that teaching an inexperienced idiot to magically fling himself 30 feet in a random direction may have been a bad idea. The exact moment the realization did hit him was when he suddenly found himself 30 feet in the air above the Market District Plaza. Ah! He could hardly tell which way was up as he hurtled towards the ground at breakneck speeds. Before he could create an unfortunate splat on the cobblestone floor, Cole reached deep inside for whatever magic he could muster and seized. Oh, that's cool animation. Alright. Moments before a seriously bad time, Cole felt a cloud of arcane mist envelop his body and carry him elsewhere. Whew! I think I'm getting the hang of... Ah! Cole promptly learned that Misty Step maintained your momentum, even if you managed to land safely on the ground. The little hyena's screams tore throughout the market as his tumbling body skidded across the cobblestone like a rock across a lake. Cole's bones groaned in protest as he crashed into a cart full of cabbages. He gingerly limped onto his feet and scampered off before some angry merchant decided to skin him alive. Cole made the wise decision to travel the rest of the way back to the Bonebreaker Guild on foot. It was probably a good idea anyway. He didn't want to tumble face first into Papa with a teleporting spell. Cole had finally decided to confess everything to his father, but he should probably break the news a smidge more gently. He could feel his blood pumping loudly through his ears as he approached the Bonebreaker Guild's entrance. Noodle poked his head out of Cole's pocket and let out a tiny, irritated hiss. Puny mortal, your anxiety is through the roof today. It is easily your least delicious emotion. Can't you try for something else? Beggars can't be choosers, you little shit. Go find a different host if you're going to be picky with your food. What an absurd suggestion. I only feed on the very best. Cole blinked. Huh, that sounded dangerously close to a compliment. You should be honored to receive such praise from the great temptation demon Malice. Not every mortal is capable of surviving an encounter with my sister. And despite my prior misgivings, you have proven to be a very interesting little puzzle indeed. Shape up, puny mortal. I plan to stick around for the remainder of your very short lifespan, and I will be severely disappointed if you were defeated by a simple conversation with your extremely buff father. Cole's mouth twitched into a ghost of a smile as he prodded the snake gently on the nose. The tension in his shoulders relaxed slightly as he half-heartedly stroked the python's head with his thumb. You're a little shit, Noodle, but I'm glad I ended up with you instead of any of your siblings. Of course you are, for I am the best of us. Except perhaps for our eldest sibling, or my dear brother Wrath. Okay, I am the very least leagues better than my bitch of a sister. Count yourself lucky, puny mortal. If you say so. Cole hummed quietly as he stuffed the snake back into his pocket and pushed through the Bonebreaker Guild's front doors. It was surprisingly quiet, free from the usual drunken ramblings and shouts of the company. Most of them were probably still out partying at the festival. Papa? Hamish? I'm home! No answer. Maybe Hamish was buried up to his neck in paperwork again. Or maybe he got sick of your shit and finally left, a traitorous thought whispered. Cole shook his head furiously, ignoring the torrent of guilt in his chest as he made his way upstairs. Today was the day he'd fix things. Make things better. Make better choices. He promised that he'd at least try. No good in shooting himself in the foot before he even began. Do remember to breathe, puny mortal. I've heard it does wonders for prolonging your life. Dude, get out of my head. I'm trying to focus. What? Unhand me, you heathen! Cole shoved the snake back into his pocket, but not before he reflexively sucked in a deep breath. Alright, y'all. I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout-out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all for all I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silverman. Thank you going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. If y'all want to get your names in our on our Patreon, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't know where I'm going with that. Random stream of thought, stream of consciousness. Anyway, love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!